Hello, fellow acupuncturists. I'm Dr. Michael Corradino, the creator and president of the Neuropuncture Organization. And I'm very proud to announce that we are an official training partner for Pantheon Research's FDA-approved electroacupuncture devices. And I'm going to give you a great tutorial on the operationals of the new 12C Pro. Let's get started.
Okay, let's get started. Here we are with the tutorial. I am proud to present the new Pantheon FDA-approved BWK4 electroacupuncture, the electro stimulator 12C Pro microcurrent advanced version. Yes. So I want to show you, this is the new advanced version of the 12C. And here is the original 12C. And we have videos on this as well. But you can see they're very similar, okay, with just a few very powerful upgrades. So we're going to go over the entire device right now. And if you didn't see what was new and what was added, were these three very amazing new variables that we are going to get into in this tutorial. Okay, so for starters, 12C, what does that mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 intensity knobs, right? We sometimes refer to these as Da Chi knobs because we want patients to feel the stimulation comfortably strong, just like Da Chi, right? Nothing sharp, nothing painful. And you want to just carefully open these, right? We don't want to open them fast and try to blast through certain areas. We don't want to take our fingers off it and just kind of pull them like that. We want to just be real comfortable and careful in opening those. 6 knobs that communicate with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 channels. So each knob has 2 channels, and each outlet will either offer millicurrent or microcurrent. So each channel offers millicurrent and microcurrent. We'll get into that. Okay, now one other thing. Be mindful, here we have channel 1. This is the clip lead test, okay? Sometimes practitioners will make a mistake and accidentally put that in there, and they'll think it's channel 1. And then they'll have the clips attached to needles, and they'll have the machine on, and they'll turn this all the way up to like 6, and they're like, why aren't the patient feeling anything? Because it's in the clip test. Okay, we'll go over those in a second. All right. So now looking at the device, right, we have our intensity knobs, our Tai Chi knobs, right? This is the amount of stimulation the patient's going to feel, okay? Here we have our 2 microprocessor calibrated frequency knobs, okay? Extremely accurate. I've tested these myself. When we tested, I think 2, it was 1.999999999. Very accurate. And then we have our timer, very important as well. We can put that on 30 minutes if we want just 20 minutes of stem. Sometimes I might just do 10 minutes of stem. But we have a timer here so that when the timer's done, the machine will shut off and they will not receive any extra stimulation. Here's our mode switch. We have the same 3 main modes, continuous, discontinuous, and mixed. But on top here, what do we have? We now have a sweep function, which I will get into. And then we have these 3 middle switches. This is a sweep step. This is a sweep, and this is in the time. So what's the time frame we want the sweep to take place in? And then this is pulse width, and we'll get into that as well. Okay, so now, the first thing I want to go over is the wonderful little alarm or safety mechanisms that the Pantheon has. All the devices have these, and I want to show the Pantheon safety device on this. So let's say for some reason, maybe you yourself might have left this all the way on, or a practitioner before you that was seeing patients maybe had this on and just turned it off, and then pulled the leads out and took the needles out and left the room. You come back in, you want to see a patient, so you put the leads in, you do the needling, you set up all the needles into the clips, and then you set the parameters on the exact time and the exact frequencies that you want, and then you go to turn it on. You're going to hear that. That is a very important alarm to be aware of, to be mindful of, and have it in the front, or at least definitely in the back burner at all times in your clinic. When you hear that, that means that the machine has just turned off. Why would the machine turn off? Well, like I just said, God forbid this was all set up and these were on, let's say, high 6. And you didn't realize that because you're seeing patients and maybe this is your, 11th patient that morning or whatever. And, you go to turn it on, that patient would have got majorly shocked. But the Pantheons do not allow that to happen by having a safety mechanism where the machine will just turn off immediately. So if any of these are on, that'll immediately turn off. So the first thing that you do when you hear this, I always check these switches. Okay, then you'll find out, oh, okay, I left this one on or someone before you, or maybe it was just on a hair, just a little bit. Oh, it's still going to go off. Okay, all right. Why else would that go on? Remember, there's 3 reasons. One could be that this was turned on. Another would be when the timer is off. So soon as that timer is off, if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 10 minutes, it's going to go off. Now, keep that in mind because just like someone may leave this on, sometimes practitioners turn everything off, and that includes the timer, leaves it on 10 minutes. So you set up the parameters, treat the patient, and leave. 10 minutes later, it's beeping. You have to go in and reset everything. So make sure the timer's on what you like it. I usually leave it on 30, just so I know the patient's going to get 30 minutes of stem, and it's never too much. Okay? So timer, and then if the intensity knob was left on or open, and then if the battery is dead. One of the special safety mechanisms also that John installed in the Pantheons is that if we set these parameters, let's say we want to go to 100 to 200 pulse width, and then we want to actually sweep that, and we want to use every channel. That's a lot of energy demand by the batteries. And in other devices, it'll keep on trucking, but you'll have to keep turning these up for the patient to feel it. That means the battery's weak, and that's not giving the same amount of stimulation every time. What the Pantheon has done is that if we set these parameters to whatever we set them to, if the battery cannot deliver what we're asking it to do, this will turn on, telling you that you need a new battery in order to perform this duty. So when the batteries get weaker, you may notice that if you're doing more complicated treatments, they can't really produce that signature, so you have to change the battery, okay? So that light will go on for batteries if the battery needs to be changed, if someone left the intensity open, or if the timer is off. Okay? Very important, great little safety mechanisms, and it keeps patients happy and should keep you guys happy as well. Okay, now let's go over some of the tests before we get into the fine new evolutions in the Pantheon. So the test we have, like I said, we do have a battery test on here. Just clip it on the battery test, and the light will turn on. If it turns green, that means the battery's good. If it turns red, that means it needs a new battery. Another test we could perform is the outlet test. The outlet test is performed if for some reason you start to notice, let's say, in the past 4 treatments, channel 2, never one patient was ever able to feel a sensation on channel 2. Channel 3, yes. Channel 1, channel 2, microcurrent, yes. But channel 2 milli, it's not working. You don't feel. So you can actually test that channel by plugging it into the channel in question. And then right here is the output test. And we're going to clip the leads to those little metal handles, and that is going to receive the signature that's coming out of that channel, and it's going to tell us if it's accurate. So what we do is we turn on the device, and what we're going to see is the pulse is at 100. I want to keep that on just so you can see it. If it's flashing, sometimes you can't. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to test that channel. It's in channel 2. So when I open up channel 2, the diagnostic light should turn on green, and it should replicate what pulse that is. So it should be solid. Yes, and it's solid. So that means channel 2 is working. And you can test all the channels and the battery. And like I said before, don't get confused, but you can test also all the clips and the leads. And this happens sometimes, as you guys know, in acupuncture practice, the way we wrap these up, there's little metal filaments in here. They can become broken, and maybe sometimes you'll see, hey, you know what, in room 2, treatment room 2, the red lead isn't working. Could someone test that for me? And you could have someone test that for you. Go test it yourself. Put it in the clip lead test. turn the device. See, something was turned on. Good. Put it in the clip lead test. And then what we're going to do is we're going to see that diagnostic light go on immediately. And then what I always like to do is just play around with these, because sometimes the little filament can be, broken over here or at the edge or right at where the wire connects to the alligator clamp. So you got to check all the little areas of the wire. And if it's all working, then it'll be green. And since that's staying green, that's a good wire. Okay. So we went over the battery test, the output test, the clip test, micro millicurrent, 6 channels, timer, continuous, mixed, and discontinuous. Now we're going to look at the sweep. So, sweep function. What does that mean? So remember, this is the same 3 functions as the regular 12C. So when we go to continuous, again, this microprocessor calibrated knob and this frequency is going to elicit the signature from this continuous, from this one knob. If we're going to use discontinuous or sweep, now we're utilizing 2 separate frequencies. And if you could see, that's blinking at 2 and then at 100, again, reflecting the frequencies here that we're asking it to reflect, okay, or to produce, okay? So that's going 2 to 100, and you see it blinking, and then it goes right to 100. So it's going to 2 hertz, then jumps right to 100. Now, in neuroscience, that has very specific targets. There's receptor targeting that we do with those particular frequencies. And the interesting thing is that we're not sure exactly what maybe 7 does, or 14 does, or maybe 36 or 56. So what John has installed in here was a sweep function where you can now sweep from 2. Look at that. See how the knob reflects the frequencies and it's going up to 100. So it's going from 2 to 100 and it's going through every frequency. This is the sweep step. So you can jump through single frequencies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 100, and then 100, 99, 98, 97, all the way down to 1. You could jump in sweep steps of 2, or by 3, or by 5, or by 10. And we're finding a lot of powerful neuropathy applications to that and mental health applications. Incredible applications with that. This is the sweep time. So now do you want that time that it's going to take for the machine to go from 2 to 100, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minute intervals? That is, again, going to really give us a lot of power and targets for treatments. And then lastly, what John put in here was a pulse width. Now, if you're not familiar why we put pulse width in there, is because pulse width, electrical pulse width, is utilized in medicine, specifically in neuromodulation, to recruit different diameters of nerves. And we're learning more and more about this in neuropuncture. We teach courses on this, and we are learning on how to recruit different peripheral nerves based on different pathologies. And something that John put in here was even a sweep for the pulse width. So the pulse width goes from 0.02 or 20 microseconds all the way up to 500 microseconds. So from C fibers all the way to motor neurons are going to be able to be recruited. And with a pulse width sweep, you can sweep through recruiting all those neurons for a host of neurological conditions. So those are the 3 new additions to this amazing FDA-approved BWK for electroacupuncture 12C Pro, a device, Pantheon device. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please feel free to email me and continue studying neuropuncture to learning the most groundbreaking applications of FDA-approved Pantheon devices. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed that.